All right, so what we're gonna talk about today, guys, is a niche tool. So not everybody's gonna need one of these, not everybody's gonna want one of them, and they are quite expensive, but we'll get into that. This is the Fasco RoofLOC nail gun, and like most nail guns, it's going to be pneumatic, so there's not a cordless version yet, but maybe someday we will get that. But this is a specialty tool made specifically for putting in metal to wood fasteners on buildings, like especially what I do, where you're laying a lot of metal roofing, metal siding. This is going to do it with a collated fastener. Supposedly it's going to be way quicker because it's shooting it versus screwing it in. We'll talk about the fastener, we'll talk about the benefits of that, but for now I just wanted to tell you that this gun basically is about $600. So if you're not doing it all the time, it's probably not going to make sense. I just wanted to share it with you guys because I think it's pretty cool, and as metal roofing becomes more and more popular on residential homes and stuff, any tool that's going to make your job more efficient, quicker, is probably worth the price tag. That whole buy once, cry once mentality, that might come into place with this tool specifically. So with this tool, Fasco is the maker of the jumbo nailer that I use all the time. They make very quality tools, and this is going to shoot 1.5 inches up to a 3-inch fastener. So this is the way they come in a 30 fastener clip. So that's how many you're gonna hold at a time. They basically have the scrail technology. Now, if you're not familiar with scrail, a lot of decks have been put down with scrail where you just shoot the nail in, it looks like a nail or it shoots like a nail, but you can unscrew it and screw it back down, which allows you the opportunity for easy removal down the road. Or if you mess something up and you want to remove it, you don't have to damage the wood to get that fastener out. You can just unscrew it and screw it back in. So it's a really cool technology, and they brought it to the metal roofing siding market with this RoofLOC tool. Now this fastener, my first thought when I seen this, and I asked Chad, my buddy who works for Fasco, I was like, how reliable is this? Like, we're shooting a nail in. Sometimes when you shoot nails into different materials, you get different depths of drive. Sometimes the fastener will overdrive. Sometimes you'll leave a nail head proud of the material. And if I'm going to be doing a project and you got a roof and you're shooting it, how can you guarantee that it is leak proof? Well, they claim it leak proof. We're gonna test it. I've used this on some interior jobs where I wanted to just not worry about leaks. So we did some liner panel jobs in the past. And so I am familiar with the gun, but I wanted to share it with you guys and see how it does. And maybe we'll do some tests with waterproofing. So each fastener has an EPDM washer on it, and that washer is what's going to make it leak proof. Now this washer is good from -40 degrees Fahrenheit up to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's going to withstand any temperature swings, which is gonna hopefully maintain that tight seal from fastener to metal, which is gonna keep it leak proof. Now each time you take a shot, it's gonna consume 90 PSI. So if you're going pretty hard up there on the roof and putting fasteners down like crazy, because this is claiming it is 8 times faster than bulk screw fastening, which is what I typically do. For this purpose, we're just gonna be using the small Hitachi/Metabo HPT compressor that you guys hear me talk about. It's super quiet, it's great for things like this, but it doesn't have a ton of storage for air, so we'll have to take that into consideration in the future when we do our speed test. So that's basically it. I mean, there's nothing overly scientific about the gun itself. It's just gonna take a nice collated fastener here, and let's go ahead and do some tests. We'll show you how it works, and we'll see if it performs like they say it does. All right, so with the gun here, we're gonna go ahead and load a clip here. I've just got a regular painted white fastener, and you can only put these in one way, it seems. If you've ever loaded a nail gun, it looks probably like you would expect it to look. You're gonna lock it down and hook up the air. Okay, so you'll notice this shoe here on the bottom of the gun. That's gonna allow you to make sure that when you go ahead and depress the button and put the fastener in, it's at a perfect 90-degree angle. So you don't want your fasteners going in on an angle, because then it's not going to properly seal the washer. So let's go ahead and put a couple in, and you'll get a feel for exactly what we got going on here. Okay, now the first thing I notice here is I see some white paint that probably flaked off of the fastener itself, which is, you know, obviously not a great thing because you don't want the paint to disappear from your fastener. That's the whole reason for using a painted fastener. But looking at the washer, because that's what I'm most concerned with, I want to make sure it's going to be leak free. This one looks like it's definitely compressed. This one looks compressed. But what I've got is a standard impact driver. This is what a lot of guys are using to install their roofing fasteners. I want to go ahead and see how this comes out, because that's kind of the main cool thing about this, is that it's a scrail. You shoot it in like a nail gun, but you can go ahead and remove it like a screw gun. Okay. So now you can kind of see it's got a very fine thread, but what I noticed, and it could be my bit, I'm not sure. It's a very small head. It's not very deep, so it doesn't grab, and that could be some bit of user error. But as you can see, I was able to put that in and go even deeper with the fastener and squeeze that neoprene washer or EPDM washer even more. I'm not saying you want to do that. I just wanted to show you that you can unscrew and overdrive if you wanted to, or if it didn't go in deep enough. One thing I noticed is these fasteners, they have a lot of stuff coming off of them, and I'm not sure if it's the paint, because some of it's gray. It could be the EPDM washer and the coating that's on that. Let's go ahead and shoot a couple more and see what the consistency is like on the drive. Also, I should probably put hearing protection in. Safety third. Okay, here we go. Okay, now I'm looking at consistency on drive, and I don't know if it's a very fair test exactly because my compressor was running the whole time. It's just this little Hitachi, because it looks to me like they just ever so slightly, as I get to this very last one, I don't think it's down all the way. Definitely not the best of quality on the paint of the fasteners after you've taken an impact to them. Okay, so that's that test. I'm not sure that I'm exactly thrilled with the way the paint ended up on these fasteners, but did it actually work? Are they somewhat leak proof, and are they going to do their job? I think we'll have to get some water and run it over this panel maybe and see exactly how good it is for leak proof. All right, before we do the leak test, what I thought we would do is a quick speed test. That way I don't got water all over my panel. So I went ahead and I removed these screws, which was quite easy because they are scrails. But we're gonna go ahead and shoot 8 fasteners because they're claiming that this is 8 times, that's what the box says, I'm looking at the box, that it's 8 times faster to use this gun than it is to use bulk fasteners, which is what I typically use, just a bag of screws in your hand. So let's go ahead and shoot 8 screw, well, I guess I gotta call these scrails, with this, and then I'll go ahead and do it with the bulk fasteners. So here we go. All right, now that is the speed test. No doubt in my mind, anytime you can have a collated fastener, you're gonna be faster than bulk fasteners in your hand because you've gotta find the end, you gotta put it in your screw or your screw gun, and it's just a lot slower. But I will say that as I was doing this and I was thinking about how I was holding the gun, and maybe you caught it, I wasn't continually making sure that it was being put in right. So I was kind of getting off track, and I was on an angle using it like a framing nail gun where you don't necessarily have to be perfect. I kind of tried to, as I got to the end, made sure that I was putting the shoe proper like it's supposed to make sure the fastener goes in all the way. The other thing is this compressor that I'm using is not keeping up with that speed. So I'm noticing that as I trail towards the end, the fastener is not going in all the way. Something you have to consider if you're going to use this gun, because you want consistent depth of drive. So for our leak test, I'm going to go ahead and get a piece of steel that doesn't have a ton of holes in it, because I've been using this on a couple different videos for you guys. And B, I'm going to make sure that I shoot it with full air capacity in my compressor to make sure that it is giving a consistent depth of drive, because I want to be fair to the fastener to make sure that it will perform. Now, when I was setting this up here, because I just had this nice piece of 29 gauge black flat stock, which I thought would contrast well with these white screws, I noticed that my fasteners weren't as compressed as I would like them to be. You want just a slight compression on them. And so I went over to this, nice adjustable knob here, and I gave myself a couple turns just to hopefully compress it a little bit more. And I definitely think you can tell these fasteners right here, and I'll shoot another one, look to me to be a lot better. So what I'm looking for is good compaction, but not an over tightness, because that will actually be detrimental to the fastener doing a good job with sealing. So now that we have these, let's go ahead and let's run a hose over them and see if they are leak proof. All right, so we've got this set up here, and I'm just gonna run water over it. It's not the most scientific test, guys, but I just wanted to prove or disprove whether it actually holds water. And I'll just set it up and we'll just let it run for a little bit. Let's see if I can do this. Like I said, it's not gonna be super scientific, but we'll definitely get a lot of water to run over the fastener, and either it's going to get some moisture on the backside or it's not. We'll check it in a little bit.
Moments later. More moments later. Two hours later.
All right, that wasn't really 2 hours worth of rain, but hopefully enough to at least kind of get the idea. Let me just lean this up nice and careful against my truck. I mean, we don't have anything here, which is obviously a good thing. Usually whenever I've seen leaky washers or fasteners that aren't done properly, you see a water trail coming down. I don't see anything here. The only thing we could really do is pull the screws and check the wood for any moisture. All right, let's go ahead and pull these fasteners and we'll see if there's any noticeable water on the underside. There might be just a hair, because when I pull the fastener, any water around, but I don't think it's going to amount to much. I should say it shouldn't amount to much, because if there is much, then we'll probably have a problem. Well, I mean, there's definitely a couple holes here because I've used this a couple times on a couple different demos, but there is definitely no moisture presence or anything that indicates any moisture got around that fastener. Obviously, a real life test over a period of years would need to be done to have any real scientific knowledge on whether these are going to be leak proof or not. That's what they claim. Knowing the Beck Fastener Group, the Fasco team, I've worked with them. I've been using their products now for a couple of years. They definitely stand behind everything they do, and they don't just do things to put out a quick product. They make very good quality products. This is not a sponsored video. I've had this fastener gun for a while, and I keep thinking about, whether or not this is applicable, whether or not this is like feasible, whether it makes sense to use it in the field. I've used it on some interiors where I didn't have to be stressed about the leaking. And I think, you know, the more I think about this fastener and this system and the cost of it, I've done some math, and I'll tell you what I came up with on whether or not I think it makes sense to use this system. All right, so what I did was I took my last job. I just got done building a 60 by 72 shed. And on that roof, I used approximately 4,230 fasteners. Now, I buy all my fasteners in these bulk bags, 250 fasteners per bag, and that cost me 9 cents a fastener. So when I did that math, I came up with basically $388, give or take, to use these fasteners. That's strictly a material fastener cost. Now, if I would have used a painted fastener just like this, comes in these boxes with 990 fasteners, that would have cost me $650. Now, that was looking at the pricing at Nail Gun Depot, which is where you could buy the gun and the fasteners. Once again, no sponsorship. That's just where I looked up quick pricing for this video. When I do that math, that's about, what is that? That's $270-ish difference in cost. That's without buying the gun, without needing a compressor. That's just straight fastener difference. 270 bucks. I don't know what you pay your people or how long it takes them to screw a roof off, but if I was able to basically lay fasteners up to 8 times faster, maybe I could get rid of maybe 6 to 8 people on a roof and only have one guy up there hitting all the fasteners while other guys are doing other things. I don't know what that equates, but to me, I couldn't really make the numbers make sense for my crew because we are pretty proficient at screwing the fasteners, maybe not as fast obviously as the gun, but labor-wise, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. It would basically have to cost or take me 0 time to lay the fastener down to kind of equate to any type of cost savings. And I don't know if that makes exact sense, but what I do know is if you buy unpainted fasteners, and this is gonna get to where I think this gun would be applicable, it's only like a $60 difference for the quantity of fasteners that it was required to put the fasteners in the building that I just got done building. Now, if you're doing, like, let's say poultry or confinement buildings where maybe you don't need a painted fastener, maybe you don't care if it leaves a little bit of residue after the gun is, or the fastener has been shot, which we seen when I first put it on that red steel. Time is money. Maybe margins aren't real big on those sorts of projects. And really the main thing is you want to get the roof secured. You don't want it to leak, but it doesn't have to be a pretty painted fastener. Then I think that this gun is like a no-brainer because you're going to save a ton of time putting thousands of fasteners in. Maybe one guy will be able to keep up with the crew laying the roof ahead of them, and it might make sense. But for me, I think that Fasco's got a great tool. I think it's a great idea. I've been looking, and if you guys have been following the channel, you know I want a collated fastener that is efficient and cost effective, but I think you gotta work on a couple things. I don't really particularly like the head of this fastener. It's kind of hard to grab and pull out after the fact if you need to. And obviously the cost for me might be prohibitive because I don't know if it makes sense to save the money. There will be other factors you can consider, but for this specific video, this demo, I wanted to show you guys the tool that was out there because I think it is applicable to a lot of people out there doing specific types of builds and specific type of metal roofing and siding. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully it helps somebody make some good decision on ways to be more efficient on the job site. And if you got any ideas as to what tool you might want me to talk about next, I'll do my best to do that. So drop that down below in the comments. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you like the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, guys, so you stick around and you can see all the other content that's coming out. So thanks a lot. You guys have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next video. I'm curious, how strong does it hold? It's got a little pry bar. See if I can work underneath this metal. So that's a typical fastener that we use, and it's definitely holding pretty good. And I had all my weight on there, and I basically just pulled the metal. So it definitely holds good, because I know people are curious. If you're shooting it in like a nail, how can it hold like a screw? But it does pretty good.